Long time no see me in this type of view, right y'all? Like, it has been a while. I hope you guys are still enjoying your summers. I hope that this video does not stress you out because a lot of people are putting up videos, vlogs specifically, on getting their classrooms ready for the year. So I'm gonna preface this video by saying, please don't let this stress you out. If you can't get into your room, start thinking about some of the things that you can do instead of just this piece. Please know I'm not doing a lot to my room this year, y'all. Like, it's not gonna be a huge setup. I'm just gonna put everything back. I did get little bits and pieces here that are new, and I'll show those to you. But I don't want this to be stressful. I will also tell you guys that I have a new team teacher that's going to be on our team this year. So I'm trying to get as much of my stuff done now so that I can help prepare her as much as possible before the beginning of the year starts. So with that being said, let's get in to my classroom setup. Let's do it. The first closet. Okay. So I figured what I would end up doing with this video is a little bit more leisure, truly a vlog. I'm gonna take you guys around. I wanna show you my classroom of what it looks like now, and then we're gonna do the entire setup. So let me flip this around, show you what I got going on. So here is what my classroom looks like for right now. There are no tables, everything has been cleaned, the floors have been cleaned, chairs are still stacked, tables are still put away and stacked. But yeah, everything is cleaned up and ready for me to begin my setup. I want to be able to give you guys some of my tips for setting up a classroom while I'm doing my own classroom, so that you can kind of keep some of these things in mind as you're going through this process in your own room, or for when you do get into your own room. So one of the first things, and I think I've always done this, is I like to be able to play with tables only. I don't tend to use any chairs. I like to be able to rearrange the tables. I want to kind of get an idea and a flow of where certain things are going to go. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to play with the tables. Now, usually once I get my tables where I want them, I'll start kind of putting up my organization piece. Y'all, if you are a brand new teacher and you are going into your classroom, I know it's hard. Okay, I know you want to decorate, but please leave the decoration for the very end. You're going to save yourself the sanity. It is going to be the most helpful thing that you do for yourself to help set you up as a first-year teacher, to really focus in on what's happening behind all those doors, because if you don't have your organization down, it's going to be a rough year. The cutesy stuff isn't going to help you for the year. You need to get organized. So the first thing I'm going to do, set up my tables. I'm gonna start pulling things out of my closets because my closets are completely loaded. So here is the first closet. I tuck everything away to get it off of my floors and my counters. And here is my second cabinet. So once I do that, I'm gonna start going through my closets, putting some of those things on top of my counters, because my organization piece, I got that down last year. I did it right before the end of the school year was about done. So it's just about putting my room back together and making it feel like a classroom again. Here we go. Let's do it. Okay, so my tip number one was to really focus on the furniture, the organization piece. Leave the cute for after. Guys, you're gonna thank me so much once you have the structure and the organization of your classroom set. One of the things that I do when I'm really thinking about the flow and the organization is I want to make sure that I'm standing in some different angles in my classroom to make sure that I don't have any blind spots. So are there any areas in the classroom where I know for a fact that the kids can like move off to the side, they can hide to where I can't see what they're doing? I want to identify those spots now. A lot of the times you're not going to be able to get rid of them completely, especially if you have a room like mine where it already has a lot of those built-in cabinets and shelves. There's just no way. Unfortunately, there's not a ton of different ways that I can organize my classroom because of those. So many people say, oh my gosh, you're so lucky because you have all those cabinets. It's a yes and a no. I am very lucky to be able to have all the cabinet space, but y'all, let me tell you, like, I loved my kindergarten classroom because I was the one that was in control of my organization and where I was gonna put things. I could move things around and have so many different setups because I didn't have, oh, I can't put anything against that wall, or oh, I can't put anything over here because I can't open those cabinets or those shelves. I didn't have that. So there's not a ton of ways for me to be able to organize this space. So a lot of the times, and in some cases, not a lot of the times, but in some cases, just like my room, you're not gonna have a complete, you know, view of all spots. So identify those spots now. If you're going to have them like I do in my room, identify them and make sure that you make students aware that they are not allowed to be back there, and set those consequences very early. If they don't know how to choose spaces properly, they just don't get to choose those spaces. So you take that choice away from them. So I've kind of gone around, I'm gonna show you just like the general. I didn't change up a ton, but I'm gonna show you the general areas now. So the goal is that I want to offer a few different seating styles for my students. So I always like to offer some floor seating, which is what I do. All I do is take off the legs, the adjustable legs, completely remove them from the desks, and put the desks just down on the legs that are just permanent, and it makes awesome seating for students. Then I have 3 large tables that I do like to keep just because it is nice, especially for when I have my math group and I'm running in more of a self-paced classroom, because then I can adjust my groups in certain spots. The round table I've just always had. I love that table. My sister bought that for me a long time ago, and I just don't want to get rid of it. But my thinking here was because there are so many kids that have access back here in this spot. They want to go back and get waters and stuff. It's just too many people in this general area that I decided to go ahead and put the round table back there for easy movement. And then I'm placing my area from here, which is where it was last year, to here. I had it over here, I think, 1 year when I first started teaching, and I really, really did like it. So I think I'm just gonna go back to having my little space back here. And then I am going to make this a student space, which is something else that I really did love. So that is probably kind of the flow of what the classroom will end up being like. It might end up changing. I don't know. Those of you that know me really well, you know for a fact that it's gonna change. You're thinking, Bridget, don't joke yourself. You're gonna totally change it around. You guys, you're so right. So that's the view from the back to the front and what the space will end up looking like. I don't necessarily love that tall table there. I'm gonna have to think about it. So tip number 3 is going to be to really focus in on certain areas in your classroom and make sure that those areas have a theme to them. So a lot of times it's like, you know, putting your math stuff with your math stuff, your writing stuff with your writing, your reading with your reading, and so on and so forth. This allows for kids to really be able to find things in a general area. So you can say, where's our math area? Or if you have it, if you're much younger, you can have it posted up from the ceiling to say math center, reading center, writing center, so on and so forth. So when I started this out today, I didn't think I was gonna change a lot, and I actually ended up changing quite a bit. So I think I'm kind of at a point now where I have a general flow for my classroom. So it is more about, can I see certain kids in certain areas? What I really want to focus on with the organization, the flow of it, of my classroom, is that I want to make sure that I can see kids in specific areas, that I don't really have any of those like blind spots. And then if I did have blind spots and I have to have those blind spots, then I'm gonna make sure that I keep those in the back of my mind so that I can address them when students start to arrive. The next thing that I really was focusing on, it was setting up specific areas. And when I was setting up those areas, I also wanted to think about the number of kids, and I'm gonna show it to you in just a second, but I had a certain area in my room that would always get incredibly clogged with children, and it was right next to the door, and it got me so frustrated that I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna put that back over there because it was just a problem area at the end of the day. So I've changed up one of those little areas. And then I also want to offer a variety of seating options. So I don't want kids to feel as though they can't really change seats, that they can't change their comfort levels. Like, I want to make sure that I'm addressing all different levels and needs of my students. So I think I'm getting to the point. Unfortunately, my room isn't completely done. I think one more day here and I'll have it done. And I did get here way later than what I wanted to get here, to be honest. But maybe another day and I will absolutely have it finished. And that day's more gonna be about decor, I guess. So let me tell you, like, the general areas that I have in my classroom, the flow that I was thinking of, and talk through some of the changes. Now, I do need to add a few seating areas, which I'll show you that as well. All right, so here is my front door. Last year at my front door, I had a bookshelf, like the 4 cubed shelves from IKEA here that had our mailbox system, and that was just not working for me. Their kids would get clogged right here in the front door, and it just drove me nuts. So I have decided, I'm gonna give you like a bigger view, to get rid of one of my bigger tables. This is very scary for me because I've never really wanted to get rid of any of my big tables, but it's gonna be okay. So here is kind of the general. I have 1, 2, 3 tables, and then the small one here. I did not like how, if this was my area back here, by the way, do you guys love the rug and my little poof? Love the poof. How if I was back here, that large table didn't allow me to see the smaller group of kids. So instead, what I've done is I've just placed my bench over here for the time being to offer a different space for students to be able to sit. Some kids like to sit on the floor and just kind of hang out, and this will allow for them to sit there while I'm still able to observe them. So that cube that I was telling you about earlier there has now moved here as like a room divider, or a space divider. I guess it doesn't divide the room, but it's a space divider. So now it kind of divides this like table space to this like more quiet space. So this here in this general area is going to be zoned the quiet zone. So if you want to be more collaborative, you're going to have to sit in some of the bigger tables versus sitting here in this space. Especially because if I'm meeting with a reading group or something to that extent, I don't want a big collaborative group next to me. Also another lesson that I learned last year. So these little buckets here are meant for kids. We store our chapter books because a lot of the times, like, the kids just have huge books and they don't fit in my mailbox. So their chapter books get stored in here by house for homeroom. And then right on this side, ignore the Diet Coke, is their mailbox system. And this is where they'll put their folders. So now it's not, I have to put folder away and my book away, which was taking an absurd amount of time. But now it's gonna be, I can put my book away, everybody create the line here, and boom, they can put their items inside of their mailbox. I think this is gonna be the best. I did enjoy one year where I had this whole space was zoned the student area. So all of the materials that any of my students would ever need was in this area. The papers, the extra supplies, like everything that they would ever need was in this zone. So this is kind of the student supply area and our quiet space and a spot for them to put their books, which I do really like how that kind of divides that little area there. So I mentioned that I need like 4 more seating spaces. I have 26 kids this year, the highest number I've ever had, and I need 4 more spots. So here's what I was thinking. This back space over here, I think I'm going to take out and I'd have to figure out what to do with my fridge. But I'm gonna take out these cabinets, these drawer cabinets, and I'm gonna have stools inside of them so that the kids can just sit there and use that counter space as their working space. So that's kind of the game plan with that. That means that I need 4 stools that I'm gonna put out here, 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. But now I gotta clean all of that out to have the kids be able to access it. And then I would need to move my fridge and my Keurig, which if I had to, I could figure out a space back here, which is what I'm gonna have to do. And that's just gonna be okay. I still have a bunch of junk that I need to get rid of, obviously. Like that chair is not gonna be here, that lamp I'm gonna get rid of, that stuff that's up there is gonna get rid of. I'm not gonna keep that easel because I just don't need it. I need smaller stuff and that's just too big. My room looks big in camera, it's really not that big. So that is my general space. That's kind of where I'm at this point. I did get my choice up, which made me feel good. And I even put up my good morning board. So every morning the kids come in and all of their information as far as their specials go, because specials are, I have 4 different groups. So they go to 4 different places for specials since I'm multi-age. But it'll tell them their specials, what activity period is in the morning. We have our house point system. The date will always be up there. It's just a nice little catch-all spot for students to be able to come in and see about any announcements, which is nice. So yeah, give you one little more spin around. Ooh, it gets dark. And that is my general space. We don't have a ton of supplies for multi-age. We just use a lot with our iPads, especially now that we're getting brand new iPads this year, which is really, really exciting for us. Our older iPad minis were not wanting to perform as great last year. So we have gotten all new iPads for 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, which is really cool. And so we really limit ourselves on the amount of materials that the kids have. So they're going to have a main folder to keep any papers or anything that they might get from us, which usually doesn't have very much in it in the first place, because again, we keep it all online. They're going to have a notebook this year and their book. That's really about it, other than their iPad. So I don't really need to have a lot of places to like store things. But I did want to say, like, that was the student area, and I forgot to mention another area. The books are kind of placed all about the room because I am the library for all 3 teachers. Made sense than having them in 3 separate rooms just to put them all in one. So I am the library for the entire MAC team. But I did want to just kind of point that out. So let me show you the math area. So this is my math zone. Excuse the wire, it's going to the humidifier right now. But I have my headphones up here. And then I have any of my math materials, which I have to kind of clean this up just a little bit. Math materials are gonna go here. And then I'm going to make this big board right here my math board. So it's going to keep track of where my learners are at any given time during math. So that's gonna be my math board, which is the thing that I'm gonna end up changing this year. But I'm pretty happy with the rest of it. I think it looks pretty darn good. I'm gonna go ahead and just end this video here because they're gonna start closing down the school and I'm ready to get home. I'm very hot, very sweaty. I've got lint all over me. It's just not fun. So I will share the next time continued progress. Hopefully that should be the only other time that I would need to share any sort of progress for my classroom, and then it should be done. So I will see you guys next time to finish up my room.